Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for being here. Before I call this meeting to order, I'm going to remind everybody on Saturday, December what's tomorrow? December 13th, starting at 4 o'clock p.m., we're going to have the tree lighting extravaganza down in our beautiful Augusta Common, followed by fireworks. So if you don't have anything to do, I encourage you to be there. Even if you have something to do, make plans to be down in our beautiful Augusta Common as we celebrate this season. With that being said, Madam Clerk, Madam Administrator, I call this meeting to order, and the floor is yours.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We are back to discuss our SPLOST 9 package. In front of you, you should have two different potential project lists. One is the list from where we left off at our previous work session with a total of $463 million. Finance estimates that will take over 7 years for us to collect. As we discussed, I'm concerned that this list may be too large to be palatable to the public. So at the last work session, Commissioner Johnson raised the idea of trying to split the list into multiple smaller SPLOSTs, which could be more focused and collected more quickly. I thought this was an excellent idea, and we have developed a new proposal for you along those lines. The second list in front of you is our attempt to do that smaller SPLOST. This is a refined list that I believe is more manageable and more palatable to our citizens, while still addressing the urgent needs in our community. We are proposing to reduce the overall list to $275 million, which may take between 4 to 4.5 years to collect. To get there, though, we have narrowed the focus to two categories: public safety and quality of life. Those are two areas that we consistently hear about from you and from our community in presenting these priorities. If you choose this approach, we will hope to collect this SPLOST as quickly as possible and then focus the next SPLOST on infrastructure and other facilities. Even with this narrower focus, we know there are urgent matters that may not be able to wait for the next SPLOST. So the list still includes some of those items, including $10 million for engineering to allocate to its most pressing priorities. That would include the staff funded by SPLOST as they continue to close out their roughly $75 million in open projects from our previous SPLOST. $2 million for central services to address urgent facility needs that may arise over the next 4 years. $18 million for expansion of the convention center, which I understand to be a priority for this body. $6 million for utilities to support the ongoing TIA projects, and $5 million to fulfill our commitment to the UGA Board of Regents. Again, this is just a starting point for discussion. You may choose different priority areas or decide not to proceed with this approach. But I did want to bring you a fresh option today. With that, I will open up for feedback and any respective questions that you may have.
Thank you, Madam Administrator. I don't see any colleagues in the queue, but I want you to go back regarding engineering. You mentioned $10 million in that. There's how many tens of millions of dollars in projects that have not been completed? And
with our last financial report, it actually showed that we have over $75 million still allocated to all the previous SPLOST going back to SPLOST 3.
Right, thank you. I'm going to ask Dr. Malik to come up to see if this is palatable and doable with a $10 million allocation towards the numerous projects that he have. Dr. Malik, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really don't know where to start because $10 million is not a start for engineering. You all have a maintenance workforce depending on SPLOST. That is $1.5 million roughly, that operation a year. So you're looking at 5 years, that's the way I look at that, 6.5 right there. You all want to send all that, to lift them up, that's work. As far as the project goes, let me go through this thing.
Dr. Malik, before you move on, give the general public just some education. When you say we have a workforce in maintenance that's tied directly to SPLOST, help us understand what that is.
Yes, sir. So the operation who does the concrete work, some drainage work, um, the trees management, um, the asphalt pothole, that all, the engineering does not have um, any operational support other than the salary or some office operation support from general fund. Uh, I believe there's around roughly maybe $200,000 in supplies where we may buy some material like rocks and other things, but it's heavily depend on the supplies to carry on our maintenance operation on that. I have all really detailed, and I can send you all to review because I don't think there's enough time here to go what I wanted to present here. Um, Presently, engineering is working on around 60 sinkholes. And each sinkhole pop up every week. So on average, even I put the lowest dollar amount, 100,000 on that, you're looking at 6 million. So my projection for SPLOST 8 allocated to maintenance, all that will be all gone by end of 2026, which is end of SPLOST 8.
And what was your allocation as part of SPLOST 8 for maintenance?
Right now, in SPLOST 8, engineering has $78 million allocated. Previous SPLOST, I believe, was 72. But please note that out of that, 20 to 25 million is part of the stormwater utility program when it was created, that was built in that $6.40 to make that program to work. So, and then the SPLOST 8 Commission make a decision to allocate more funds toward resurfacing. So that was 22. And so that's what the ask is now. So roughly 40 to 45 million just going to those two activities. And that's what the ask in SPLOST 9 is more or less similar to that. The rest of the projects, they are carryover projects, and the request is really to finish those projects, like East Augusta.
All right, so give me an example. If you have previous SPLOST projects that need completion, how many dollars do we need to allocate towards that?
So that's roughly, again, it's a quick rough number. I can provide more details later on. It's around $20 million to finish those, like East Augusta, Wilson Gordon, we have Rocky Creek. We need funding for Willis Farmer Road to finish that up. Those are some of the key projects. We need to finish that one. For example, East Augusta, I'm going to pick that because that's going on since 2006 or 7. So we got phase 5, which is, Hornsby area, that's going to be roughly 6.5. We got phase 6, 7, and 8. So you're looking at another roughly 12 to 13 million dollar. That so just for that is $20 million.
All right, so $20 million to finish, but there's already funds allocated towards it. Are you saying we just don't have enough to finish for the funds that are there?
Yes, sir. So that's what 20 million I just said earlier. We're gonna take other 20 million to finish.
Just the 20 million just to finish.
Yes, sir.
And if it's not, at what point do we catch up? Because here we are. At some point, you would imagine that if you've put money towards a SPLOST project and it dates back several SPLOST, that it should be on a priority list because we've promised the voters and they've voted and approved those projects to be completed, especially if it dates back to SPLOST 4, 5, or 6. It would appear to me to be a priority to try to get that completed.
Yes, sir, and that's what it'll be moving on that priority, and this is going to be the last SPLOST. If the ask, is somewhat close to what department says, then it will come off in SPLOST 10 on that. So again, these are larger projects. It takes, it's everything moving really for 8 to 12 years to finish it up on that, but we have to slow it down given what the dollar amount is. We have to design it, start with the concept, we have to work with the neighborhood, then the right-of-way, And then finally, the construction, like East Augusta, again, I'm gonna bring up, it was phased into 8 phases to make it work, not for design purposes, for the construction funding purposes. On that, same as the Wilson Garden, we've been kind of carrying to the point where we are now to ready to construct on that.
Okay. Dr. Malik, I'm going to let you complete your presentation. I got some colleagues in the queue, and at some point, I'm quite sure they have answers. They have questions. So if you will, just finish your portion, and I have a few colleagues in the queue. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So our ask originally was 100 something, 71 million. Then we dropped it to 93, and then previous conversation. My understanding was that, okay, we're going to give you 80 million to engineering and you work it out, how that 80 million going to be distributed. So that's what I did. The list you all saw previously, that was based on that, understanding. Okay, 80 million, here, you just spread it out. So that's what I did on that, So, and again, out of that 80 million, 42 million going towards road paving, resurfacing, and I'll be coming back to this body early next second meeting in January to present the payment assessment where all our road condition and all. And presently, engineering commitment and projection is 6.5 million every year going towards the road payment. So if we scale SPLOST down, that will scale it down too. That means our road condition going to continue to deteriorate.
Thank you, Dr. Malik. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 6th, Commissioner Tony Lewis. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Yeah, Dr. Malik, those were some of the questions that I was going to ask you based on your original request of 178 million. So now this question is, Mayor Johnson, if I can ask the administrator.
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
Madam Administrator, I understand what the assignment was based on what the commission from the first had talked about streamlining these requests to get it to a number that, as the mayor say, that will be palatable for the citizens of Augusta Richmond County by way of even going into another SPLOST. And we know that it's imperative that we make sure that our wish list looks good enough for the citizens of Augusta Richmond County so that we don't have a problem with them extending or voting yes for this SPLOST. So when I look at Dr. Malik's, the original request of 178 million, and I look at the compilation of, line items that he had here, that brings us to that total, and then it was reduced from 178 to 93. There was a revised request, and then another revision as of 11/26 to $80 million. But I see with the recommendation that you want to move forward with is only granting $10 million. And after hearing him, I don't think is a reasonable amount to complete any of these projects. And I understand, what you brought to us by way of the $10 million to try to get these numbers down so we can look at a shorter span of paying this off. But I don't think it's realistic when we look at the infrastructure in Augusta Richmond County, as Dr. Malik has already alluded to, with the continuing resurfacing that's going to have to take place and some of the other upgrades. So if we look at increasing that number back to 70, add additional 70 million to that, what would that look like for the 5-year period that we're trying to make sure that we stay in line with? If you add 70 million to that, can you
Yes, sir.
tell us how that would help with our engineering debacles that we have?
If you add around 70 million more to it, it's going to add another, probably a little over a year back to what we currently have. And I will say this, I'm not trying to discredit what we have going on in engineering. Our infrastructure is in poor shape, but we have $75 million right now sitting there that are allocated to projects that we are not utilizing on previous SPLOST. That is on engineering projects at our last financial report. Now, I'm not here to, disagree with Dr. Malik or anything, but our citizens are concerned about why that money's still sitting on these previous SPLOST, and why can't they see any final results? That's the question of the citizens. So my attempt on this was to focus on what we can get done, hopefully in 4 years. Give Dr. Malik an opportunity, and 10 million may not be enough. I'm not sitting here to disagree with him, but give him enough time to close out some of those other projects so that our citizen can start gaining trust and supporting us again, and then have him have the opportunity to come back with something that we focus strongly on infrastructure in the next 4 years, along with our facilities. So that was the gist of it. We can actually, if y'all want to focus more on infrastructure and public safety as opposed to the quality of life, that's totally up to the governing body.
Right, and I see, Madam Administrator, I see where you were going when you made your presentation about the things that we really wanted to focus on, and that was public safety and quality of life, not to exclude any engineering projects that were.
Yes,
so
sir.
when we talk about the 75 million that's sitting there, did that come from 7 and 8? Is
That
that a
comes from
total?
previous SPLOST all the way back to SPLOST 3.
3. So Dr. Malik, can you expound upon that for us, please?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, because if, I don't agree to those numbers, and I said it before too. If the administrator is willing to give me $75 million to move forward, I will take it, but don't hold me to that. Because I can run it down, I have a list right here. So grading and drainage is roughly, and it's at end of October. They may not be counted but obligated. They may be counting what has been utilized. So there's two different. Obligated money is not sitting there. It's already been obligated. Work is in progress. But let me run through this list if you allow me, please. And so grading and drainage, by end of, we have around 5.5 to work between this month and end of 26. And they all, I'm confident that all dollars be gone.
You say, can I stop you? You say 5.5 million?
Right, that's available right now.
Okay.
By end of October.
Okay, you can go.
Right, but we have one more year, 2026, in SPLOST 8, and their ongoing maintenance work, and the new work coming up. So the 1 million is Walton Way in construction. That project is ready to go construction 26. 1 million is not enough. That was, just again to phase it out, and I'm asking an additional, I believe, 3 or 2.5. Even that's enough. Engineering will work with GDOT or some other to make it work. But our commitment is to get that project in construction around 26, early 27. Maybe we have to wait for master so we could work through that. Then other major project is Wilson Garden. They're around 4. Let me see. Yeah, around 3 million there, and there's some other funding there on that. Road resurfacing, we have around 4.8 left, but we're working on 2026 contract. That will be, as I said, 6.4 or even, 5 or more on that. The other one is the East Augusta overall, around 6 and 5 and 6, 7 or 8, and I believe there's 2.5 and 5. So you're looking at another 8.5 there, but those projects are ready to go. We're going to start 5 in 26. We're just finishing up the easement on that. And then the other major projects, Village Farmer Road, there's $1 million saved, but it's a federal fund, 80-20 match. It's roughly $56 million project. And so we need to have a match money, otherwise we won't get that high dollar amount, $45 million from the Fed. And right away, only right away is 8.5 million. So that means really we need another roughly $1.5 million just to match that, which is right now ongoing practice. The other one is the Rocky Creek. Rocky Creek didn't been tweaked so many times. It has somewhere around little less than 8 million. So those are the major projects, and my goal is to seek funds in 9 to get those projects off the book. So then, all new project, whatever this body want to take on. I'm not even mentioning all these drainage projects we're doing in the National Hill, Forest Hill, Goshen area, Turpin area. So those are not here, that's random because we're working through it. And so those are the projects will show up in the future projects to actually do the improvement. So this 75 million may be where they're not looking into the obligated funds. They're just looking what the funds have been utilized. But, like present contract resurfacing is 21 million plus. But not all 21 million been utilized. So if only 10 million utilized, they're not gonna look at that 11 million, but that 11 million is off the book.
Okay.
Commissioner Lewis?
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I got an understanding of that. There was one other thing I wanted to ask the administrator. I heard you, when you gave the list, you said, did you say 2 million central services in your initial report? I thought I heard you say something about central service when you were calling out the numbers.
Yes, that was facilities, just to make sure that they continue to do the renovations on some of the things that we currently have.
Is that an additional, I see 38 million. I see 38 million on this page, so that was an additional 2 million?
No, sir, that's just the 2 million.
Yes,
For
2.
them to start making some renovations on some of
Okay,
them. Yes, sir.
I thought I heard you
Yes,
say.
sir.
Okay, thank you, Madam Administrator. Thank you, Mayor Johnson.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Lewis. Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Francine Scott from the 9th. Madam, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I would like to ask Dr. Malik a question and then something to the administrator.
Yes, ma'am, please proceed.
Dr. Malik, you specifically talked about Rocky Creek, Wilkinson Garden, East Augusta, and all of those are in my district. I know when I first came on board, we discussed that we had not finished Hyde Park in terms of making sure the drainage go from one place to the other. Is that on this list, or this is somewhere else?
So Wilson Garden and drainage, Hyde Park is part of that project. That's Commissioner, you indicated. So that is Hyde Park is serving as the receiving stormwater regional facility. So all that water will be piped and discharged in that area.
Now, would this be a part of the
Yes, yeah.
next 3 years, 4 years? It should be completed?
It's going to take around two years to complete. Yeah.
And the money.
Include those two. I'm sorry, I did include those two, Commissioner Scott, in that proposal that I forwarded to you. Rocky Creek and Wilkinson Gardens.
Okay, all right. And I'm gonna have to come back because I lost my train of thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 4th, Commissioner Lonnie Wimmerly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I have a question for comments for the administrator.
Yes, sir, please proceed.
Now, what I'm noticing, in the course, I think I have a mandate coming from South Augusta in the recent election, so I'm gonna take that position. And that position is, I don't see nothing in here that really is gonna have a huge impact on South Augusta. There's in my terms, a utilization of projects, and then there's economic projects. Utilization means the roads get repaired and we can drive on the roads and they're smooth and comfortable. Economic meaning that we've got things that would draw economic development and growth to the South Augusta. There were, at one point, $25 million that were going to Augusta economic development for some drainage in South Augusta. And my proposal would be to add another $25 million so you could go to the corridor that is on Tobacco Road, and then that will, both of those should have an economic impact in South Augusta. So I don't see where this SPLOST is focusing anything that's going to have a huge economic impact. Yep. It'll give some jobs to contractors that are going to be working out there and so forth. Got that. Going back to what Dr. Malik said, I know darn well that money he has obligated still would not get done what's on SPLOST. It never works like that. So what are we going to do with this SPLOST to try to get some growth towards South Augusta, or was that that's a non-starter?
Oh, no, sir. That's totally up to this body. If you want to add the $25 million back, and it's a consensus of the governing body, Commissioner Wimberly, of course, that will be added back to this. Our goal was to bring back the focus of what we were told or recommended, and that's what we did. I mean, this is, of course, a starting point. The governing body wants to make any respective adjustments to that, take anything off, add anything to it. That is, of course, up to the governing body. Once the consensus is reached, we would definitely make sure we do those modifications.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Wimberly. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner Tina Slindat.
Thank you. I want to say I do appreciate your hard work doing this. I really do. However, you knew there was a but coming, didn't you? Yes. I'm in agreement that what I hear from my constituents and, is the constant complaining about the roads or something like that. So, I really would like to see some more money added back to engineering. I really would. What is the, I know when we had the previous SPLOST meeting that we were trying to get it down to, 3?
Yes, we were trying to get it down to about 4 to 5 years, around 5 roughly.
So,
which would have been about 350.
350, okay. So that is, I would like to see some money put back into engineering, personally. I did want to ask about the Canal Authority. That got taken out. Is that correct? And that was $1 million, I think, previously, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, I really don't like seeing anything come off of that. But I was just wondering if there was a reason. Another question, and this may be for the Parks and Rec people. Dr. Malik, I think I'm through with you. I'm trying to get, yeah, I know. But I think I have a question for Parks and Rec.
Okay. Director Williams, if you can come up. Dr. Malik, don't go far. We got some other folks in the queue. Other folks in the queue.
I'm not sure if this is for administrator or Parks and Rec, but I see Augusta Soccer Park. Now, is that something that was under a contract or something, the Augusta Soccer Park, or what is it I know that kind of was falling under not really an NGO. Was it NGO or something?
Yes.
Okay, because I just don't have anybody that uses that myself, so I'm not real familiar with that area. But what's the
What was the project for?
Yeah, what's it for?
Okay, and so it was for improving the grass field with turf, new restrooms, upgrading the existing site, and parking lot.
Okay. So.
And also possibly upgrading some lights.
Okay. Okay, so the agreement that we have worked out that's on the NGO or whatever list with the soccer park, Can you, I'm sorry, I don't have my paper in front of me, but could you refresh me maybe on what it is that we give toward the soccer park and the soccer people themselves contribute to that?
I think probably Ms. Williams would be better to answer
Okay.
that.
So we have an agreement in place with them. We basically have agreed to let them use our facility, which is the soccer park. They do own a piece of one of those fields that's out there. However, the majority of the site is ours, and they just cater to the Richland County residents participating in the programs, and they do travel teams, so just the program that they provide at the site.
Okay, so the soccer group itself, I mean, do they contribute anything to upkeep, or do they build stuff or maintain anything that you're saying they just show up and use the field, basically?
Well, they reach out, and I've told in the past that if they want to do some upgrades and improvements, they reach out to the department of when they want to do that. And so I know certain things in the past have been granted.
Okay, all right. Okay. Under your line items, it just says Augusta Sports Courts. What is that?
So there are outdoor courts. We have a lot of tennis courts, basketball courts, various courts that are needing major upgrades.
Okay, so the cost of the courts, would the cost of those be included in, like, just say Warren Road, okay? Just say their basketball court. Wouldn't that just fall under Warren Road, or is the courts, for all of them, it's totally separate?
Well, for this instance, when we're putting it kind of as a lump, as a group, we're talking about all our facilities. And so when we're doing the renovation of the courts, we're talking about resurfacing, restriping, and things like that.
Right. I just thought if, like, Warren Road basketball courts would be part of the Warren Road Rec Center stuff, so.
It is a part of the rec center, but when you're looking at it as a whole to have money for various locations, and we'll prioritize who needs to be taken care of first, then it's better to have it as a lump sum.
So is any of these courts, are they among any of the parks that might not be open anymore? I mean, we really haven't moved forward on that yet, so,
Yes.
okay. I think I've got one more question on that. Let's see. I'm not grilling you, I'm really just trying to find out, because this is my first SPLOST thing to go through, so I'm really just trying to find out some information, because the soccer park, I think they do a lot of good over there. Okay, well, I'm not going to just hold up the mic.
Thank you, Commissioner Schlindack. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 3rd, Commissioner Catherine Smith Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Where I see where we have trimmed dollars back from last week's list here. And while I realize definitely public safety is top notch, when I say top notch, that's from the citizens of this county, is top priority. And it has been for a long time. I see where we've trimmed their budget back a little bit from last week, and I see quality of life. I see where we've trimmed back on everything. But I get most complaints about the roads, drainage, storm, you name it. Everything that I hear most from my constituents is about infrastructure, and it has been since I got on this commission. And I see where we need to, like you were saying, Administrator Allen, that we might want to give money, and I'm just one commissioner, where we might want to give money to more, focus on more of maybe infrastructure engineering than quality of life. I'm not knocking quality of life down. That's very important. But I see that we've got 64 million here in an infrastructure for engineering, 10 million. That is, I'm going to say that is not enough whatsoever to get projects done and to take care of what needs to be done around this county. Riding down Wrightsboro Road this morning, the whole way down Wrightsboro Road, I dodged potholes and where they've patched. And I'm just saying, we have got to figure out in infrastructure how we can give more to infrastructure and maybe take a little bit, sadly, from some of these other areas. We've got, that is the biggest complaint I hear, not from just my constituents, but from people throughout this county, is that the infrastructure needs to be updated. It's poor. It needs to be done. So I'm not going to hold everybody up. I'll come back from other questions later. And as far as the Augusta Canal goes, I do want to say we've got to keep giving some money. That canal is that's part of priority, quality of life for many. And, you know, it's a jewel. It's something that many other counties do not have, and we should focus on helping them out where they need it, especially after this hurricane. But I'm just going to put that out there. Engineering, 10 million, that's not even going to cut it for what we've got to do in this county. I'll come back in a little bit, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rice. Commissioner Francine Scott, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I don't know, we're going back and forth. I'll start with Augusta Canal. I too believe we need to put some money back in Augusta Canal Authority. Mayor Johnson, I would like to ask the administrator a question about the Downtown Development Authority. Well, first, let me just ask, have all the directors and department head and agencies been notified that there's a potential that they wouldn't get anything in SPLOST 9?
No, ma'am. The departments that have been affected by this have been notified. I sent them the exact same information that I provided to you. However, this changes day to day. So I would say no, because 1 minute it may be on here, the next minute it may not. So I don't want to give anybody any respective false hope. They are aware, though, that we are having these continuous meetings.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask Director Williams a question regarding the facility revitalization initiative. This is a pot of money that would be used for all Parks and Recs facility?
Yes, ma'am.
And now would it be a priority or as is, or?
We would do it as a priority, yes.
Okay. And I also see where we took the South Augusta Water Park. We took out money. We're not going to fund them. But let me just say, we're trying to ask our constituents and voters to vote. They had, what, $5 million been in there for
They still have that in there, yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
That's
many years. And then we first asked some more money to be put in so to see what we can do. I think it's going to be a hard sell that we just continue to have $5 million, and the intent, purpose, and what we said we was going to do is provide to have have a water park. We need to stop sugarcoating. That's what we said. Please vote for this so we can actually have something. And now we still stuck with $5 million and nothing done. And we specifically said, because I think I have just moved back to Augusta, that we was going to do. And I know $5 million is not enough money at all, but we have to stop having SPLOST and saying we're going to have a list of things that we're going to do, and we don't do it. And when we get to public safety, I have a question, but I'll just wait because I think we just jumping over all over. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Commissioner Don Clark from the 5th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Allen, first of all, I appreciate you kind of helping us bring this down. so that we can add upon it. I think you brought us to a good baseline for us to understand that our number, and is our number, have we established that collectively that our number is 350 that we need to make it? And Mr. Mayor, so I kind of bring that to you to kind of help us stay on track, because if not, this number is going to continue to balloon back up to where we just came back from. So do we need to, as a collective body, vote on what our number is and then hold ourselves to that? Because what I'm afraid of is, and I agree with what a lot of the colleagues have said with some of the different areas, but we have to put a cap on this. If we don't put a cap on this, we're going to end up back at that 463 or at the billion before we know it. And we need to get to a level of prioritization to where we all kind of submit to the same level of understanding, or this is going to get back out of control again. So I'm asking from your leadership standpoint if we can, bring us in for a number. And then I have a couple more questions after that.
You got it. I believe strongly that, the number from the previous SPLOST that was in the $300 million range. Madam Administrator, can you refresh this governing body what the number was for SPLOST 8?
Oh, gosh, I don't have that information with me, Mr. Mayor, but it's roughly around a little over 300.
A little over 300. I would imagine this SPLOST needs to be under $350 million. Considerably under will be better, I think, for its passage. I don't think we want to certainly don't want to exceed $350 million, which now, based on the recommended SPLOST list, it gives us about an additional $75 million potentially if this body were approved to go into the $350 million range, Commissioner Clark.
Yeah. Okay. And I just want to make sure that I put that out there because, I know we all have our different areas of prioritizations and efforts that we're looking to do, but we also need to measure this with the understanding of what's going to be the most feasible presentation to the public. We want to have the best use of dollars. I think, Ms. Allen, you all had a challenge of busting that boulder up and trying to give us some priorities to kind of build from. But I want to ask that we kind of walk into this with some deliberate understanding that we don't need to go over the number that we just traveled from.
Commissioner Clark, and I stand corrected, it's $250 million for SPLOST.
Was the last one?
Yes.
For SPLOST 8?
Yes, sir.
How much?
Around $250 million.
Okay. So that brings even more perspective. Was that a 6-year to 8-year?
It's around a little over 4 years because of the collections coming in.
All right. So.
And that's kind of where we were going with this one.
Yeah. And I listen, I understand. It was, we gave you a lot to work with on that. But I wanted to make sure that was understood by everyone. Like we need to make sure that this is something that's realistic. Because if we come into it with a number that is too overtly, high, it's not going to be widely accepted. We got a lot of things in front of us. A lot of things have changed on the scope of fees and otherwise. And it's going to be a balancing act that we need to keep in perspective with this. So I think, Ms. Allen, from what we have for the 275, and I agree with the colleagues, we need to try to find a way that we can, number one, in engineering and utilities, we're going to need you all to assist us with really kind of shaping and forming from a priority standpoint. We don't have an overabundance that we can throw at this. We're trying to get this in a realistic aspect, and we're trying to get a good balance. The priorities that you all established came from the survey, I'm assuming, correct?
No, the actual focus and listening, the recommendation of Commissioner Johnson, trying to focus it in and look at the priorities. Yes, you're right in regards to the survey, what their priorities are, and some of the things that we've actually been hearing from the governing body. Yeah.
Like I said, we have what we have, and we have to be very intentional and in some ways very, very conservative with how we do this. So I know there's some other aspects that we were looking at trying to do with, I know the airport is trying to do some things, both airports actually, we're trying to do some things towards improvements. Engineering, of course, is saying they need some additional funds, and I'm sure if we brought Director Bynes up, he would give his song and dance as well, that he needs additional funds as well. But speaking of that, Mr. Mayor, can I bring up Director Bynes? We haven't heard from him, and I know he has a piece in this.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Commissioners. How are y'all today?
Morning.
Good. So the request we had put in for obviously was the bulkhead and the additional utility infrastructure, South Augusta, and supplement to the road construction projects. And the bulkhead gates, we previously mentioned in the last meeting we had that we are prepared to move forward with that. We would like to generalize the funding that we've asked for bulkhead for utility infrastructure. And that's because that is the flood control structure for downtown and the medical corridor. And we operate and maintain it, and we are required by license to upgrade it. And it needs to be upgraded for the health and well-being of the citizens of Augusta. And so we are going to do that. The remaining items that are on there, the South Augusta Sewer is a growth project built to encourage the pumping capacity and the sewer collection in the south of Richmond County. We had talked previously about whether or not those funds could be generalized to sewer infrastructure in places where it's not, and we certainly are available to look at that. The remaining funding that we've asked for is supplemental to basically the TIA construction and GDOT construction projects. Those projects, and it's not just Augusta, they are never funded by those agencies. GDOT does not fund utility infrastructure. As such, as we continue to do these road expansions, we do not want to leave old infrastructure underneath the road so that we have to come back and cut those after this beautiful new road is installed. And so we need to be working together with engineering, which we have in the past to the degree we can replace the infrastructure. However, we need supplemental funding to do that. Currently on Broad, we're at about $5 million of infrastructure, expecting around $7 million. Those are funds that we have to pull out of operating capital in order to make those projects work. And so as such, we need to make sure that we maintain as much funding as possible so that those projects are successful for the citizens, not just in the short term, but in the long term.
Yeah, so with the understanding that we're definitely trying to cap this, we said 350, but we're probably gonna have to look at that, I'm sure, to bring it down lower if the last one was 250.
Understood.
So with that being said, and I think the two major factors in this are you and Dr. Malik really coming up with some more firm numbers to give us an understanding of what can be prioritized and what cannot be prioritized. And Dr. Malik, I know you said 20 million gets you a good number, but we need to firm these numbers up a lot more than just some grandiose estimates like that. We don't have a lot of room to play on this. So if we're looking to add some, or even if we're looking to shift some, we need to have some firmer numbers. Because right now, if we don't, with his 20 million additional, that takes us almost to, what is that? That takes us to 295. And you're looking at?
The current, at this scope is cut at 6. We originally asked for 20.
Right. So even if we did both of your $20 million asks, we're over the threshold for the 300 million. And we haven't even talked about airports and others that have some additionals that folks are, may have some room in. So I think what everybody needs to really kind of bring into perspective is we need to really measure what's going to be the focus. Ms. Allen, you guys gave us a good starting point of determining, hey, primary focus is public safety and quality of life. Do we add one more to that as far as infrastructure? And even if we do, it's not going to be a great increase to it. It can't be. Or we're going to be right back where we were. So I think we need to really kind of determine from a prioritization standpoint, because at the end of the day, some communities and municipalities say, hey, department, you get this, you get this. Now you come back and tell us what you're going to do with that, and then you go forward. Because right now, for us to get in the weeds as far as we are with it, we're going to be here forever trying to get this thing done. But we do need to rely upon the departments. Ms. Allen, you guys have given us a good start, but we still have some work to do to really kind of shape this of what's going to be palatable. Because if we keep adding to this, we're back where we started. So, Dr. Malik, Wes, I hear you guys, but I need you all to get with the administrator's office and really kind of be a part of this process. Ms. Williams, you as well, since you're part of that priority, and of course, Chief Blanchard. Because if this is our priority, going to be public safety, quality of life, and infrastructure, you all are going to have to be the ones to help shape it. Ms. Allen's given us a good start, but we can't keep giving these grandiose numbers and have all of these dollars just sitting here, and we're not really putting some work into these projects. So that's my suggestion, Mr. Mayor, is because right now, if we keep doing what we're doing right now, all we're going to do is keep adding to this. That's all we're going to do. And we'll be over that threshold before we know it in 3 more people in the queue. I mean, I'm just being honest. We're going to be right back there again. So, but you all have to tell us specifically what is no bull prioritization and what is the number that can work to keep us at a palatable number for us to present this to the community. If not, we're putting ourselves in jeopardy. That's just my suggestions on it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Madam Administrator, if you will, for the governing body and the public, can you remind us of the timeline, please?
We have to have this voted on by January 6th, sir.
All right, so we're on a tight timeline here, and you're right, Commissioner Clark, we don't have time to be back and forth. Commissioner Francine Scott from the 9th, ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I would like to ask Dr. Malik a question about the federal funding projects that we have. Yes, Dr. Malik, do we have to do a matching for each one of these projects that we have on the books?
Yes, it's
And you don't have to go.
80-20. Yes, for Village Foreman Road, we have matching 20% for that, and I believe there is a matching requirement for the fund we're going after for National Hill. I think 3-point-some million, and Wilson Garden is around the same number. So there is a matching that will come from the SPLOST to offset that.
This SPLOST 9.
Either 9 or some other, carryover funds for these projects we have. Yeah.
So we definitely have to have some monies that you're asking for to finish out some of these projects that we have on the books.
Yes, yeah. So for Wilson Garden, there's money there. For National Hill, I have to pull it from the general allocation to the drainage we have on that. So see, that's what the challenge is, because right now it's 20 million for drainage, 22 for resurfacing, 22 for that. So you're already looking 62 million right there. So I look at some of the number already kind of drop it to 77, but I'm not sure beyond that. Engineering will take whatever number you are allocate. Engineering traditionally has that dollar amount before commission increased funding for drainage and roadway was around 55 million, but with additional funding for drainage and that it went to 70 plus. I think it was 75, now 78 on all that. In my opinion, it's doable. We have to allocate the money to each area and then let each area work it through like I did, what they're gonna do, In 5 years plus, I did some rough numbers, it's gonna be somewhere around probably 344, 335, so around that number. I think you all have to figure it out, like, for example, engineering 77 million, that's I put it. Utility X, quality of life 65, public safety 100, it is doable. We have to just figure it out. what the priorities are, you know.
Yeah, I know I think that's how we got there, trying to figure it out. And actually, by this body asking questions, then we somehow, the directors cut, and then they have to come back, and we'll be in a deficit or do some other things. So we got to take it serious and make sure what we ask for is something that we can deliver on, because constituents are tired of flooding. They're tired of their house flooding and can't get any relief. So what we need to do is making sure that even though we ask the hard questions, we got to make sure you all give us the, not what we want to hear, saying, yeah, we can cut here and make it do here, when we got funds that you are requesting that's going to be, is part of the federal money that we're getting. We have to pay that percentage back. So that might be some reason why we getting stuck and keep money. It's obligated, but we still don't have enough money to finish the project. And I'm not sure if my other colleagues have something on engineering infrastructure. My next question is to talk to the sheriff about this request. But we have other people in the queue, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure if it's for.
Yes, ma'am. Let's get through the queue, and then we'll hear from law enforcement, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Commissioner Lonnie Wimberly from the 4th.
Well, Mr. Mayor, one of my questions was going to be to law enforcement. So I yield.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chief Blanchard, you may want to go ahead and
I yield to
the commissioner from
Scott.
the 5th, from the 9th. All right? Well, he's going to yield back to you for law
Oh,
enforcement.
yeah, right.
Morning.
Good morning, Chief. How you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good, good. I was just wanting to get some information about this updated amount, and what is this exactly going to be used for?
So the updated amount is 10 million for vehicles. So reduced from 18 million to 10 million for vehicles. And the same amount, the same amount stays for the building of the 2 pods and
Okay.
the renovations at the detention center.
Okay. Okay.
So in regards to vehicles, we, depending on how many years you go, basically, as we've said each time, no matter how you do it, it's not, with us, it's not about 10 million or 18 million or 15 million. It's basically $3 million per year allows us to replace 46 fully equipped police vehicles per year, which will get us to kind of where we need to be. So basically, our request is 12 million. Obviously, I know the administrator's under a great deal of pressure. We understand 10 million might get us where we, a little bit less than where we need to be. We're doing everything that we can to work with you, but that's kind of where we need as far as vehicles, because those aren't, if we don't buy them under SPLOST, then we're going to need it in the budget, and we don't really want to spend that money out of a budget.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Commissioner Wimberly, you back, sir.
And this is for the sheriff department. I see your ask have been reduced several times.
Yes, sir.
With the exception of the jail pods.
Yes, sir.
What happens if you get one jail pod?
So actually, the jail pods have been reduced. They started at 100 million plus 15 million for renovations. That was for 300 beds plus other facilities that needed infrastructure. The administrator, myself, and a few others, along with the sheriff, went and visited numerous places and looked at doing prefabricated jail pods instead. And we were able to reduce that initial cost from 100 million down to 70 million. And instead of placing more violent prisoners in that area, we would place less violent prisoners in that area and put the more violent prisoners within our current facility. So we did reduce it by 30 million already. It also lowered our requests. It also lowered our number of beds and things of that nature. So right now we're at 288. If you were to go poof and we had 288 beds and 2 pods tomorrow, we're still overcrowded and we still can't segregate our people based on gangs and violence and sex offenders and DUIs and things like that. And as y'all see when you get the memos, that's why we have more fights, stabbings, and things of that nature in our jail, because we need to be able to separate our people.
Okay. Excuse me. So building more jail is not in itself it doesn't reduce crime, does it?
Building a jail doesn't reduce crime?
Right. That's correct?
I would say that having a place to house violent offenders, again, we're not keeping nonviolent offenders in our jail.
No. I said building a jail does not reduce crime in your community, does it?
I would disagree. I think it's a
do?
deterrent. Yes, sir, absolutely. I think it's a deterrent to violent offenders that they go to jail. So if I can't put them in jail and they're still in the community, and they're committing the crimes, Judge Flythe last week said that the number of recidivism through this community is through the roof. And most people who continue to do violent crime will do violent crime once they're released from jail. So if we don't have a place to put them, yes, sir, it will certainly increase crime. Therefore, it does pay to reduce crime by having a jail to house people in.
Well, I just give myself credit for not asking the question correctly.
I'm sorry?
Now, let's get back to the number of parts you need.
Yes, sir.
How many beds in each one of those parts? And explain to me what you mean by I know how the jail is partitioned right now.
Yes, sir.
So each one of those units is a part.
Yes, sir.
So you need 2 more of those units parts out there.
Yes, sir, and it will give us 288 beds, yes, sir.
288.
So 144 per pod, yes, sir.
Okay. So you can delay one of those parts and reduce your ask?
Sir, all I can say is that 15 years ago when we wrote the plan, and I wasn't part of it, that we are still extremely far behind where we need to be now. And this isn't just an ask from this administration. The previous administration for the last 2 SPLOST has been warning this council that we need to have at least 300 new beds at this time. And all I can say is if we don't get our inmates put into proper beddings and things of that nature, the federal government's going to come in here and do it for us. And then we're going to be costing a lot more money.
Okay. Thanks to the marshal. Now I have one for utility.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mines?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Director Bynes.
Fair enough, it's Friday. Yes, sir.
Morning, Director. This South Augusta portion of your ask, what would that be?
That is the expansion of the Little Spirit Creek sewer, sort of adjacent to the existing and developing corporate park, looking to provide residential, drainage for opportunities for growth in that part of the county.
And how does that tie into, how did that complement what Development Authority was asking for?
So they're asking for, they're looking for a little bit more of the longer term infrastructure, more of the backbone, and this is going to be upgrades to the pumping station, the capabilities that allow the area to be served.
Okay.
So, yes, sir. And again, we're fine with generalizing the ask to support water and sewer utility infrastructure throughout the county. I know that that's a little atypical that you want to see a specific project done, but when we find the projects that are of interest, we just need supplemental funding to help pay for the infrastructure that supports, whether it's residential growth, commercial growth, industrial growth, anything of that manner.
And I'm particular now. I'm in the Tobacco Road corridor and Peach Orchard Road. What would the ask be in order to upgrade that area?
So there's a few areas around there and a little bit further south that still don't have sewer. I'd have to look at the specific pockets, and I think that's something that you and I could get together and let's sketch out the specific projects, and then I can give you a cost estimate that would be consistent with a specific project. They're going to vary depending on where they are. The big thing that we did in Augusta in years past, which you remember, which was we put sewers in neighborhoods that didn't originally have them. And those typically are about a 10x difference in price between putting them in when the infrastructure, when the neighborhood's being built or the area's being built versus coming back and retrofitting it.
And now I'm talking about infrastructure that will support commercial use.
In most of our
What would you need to do?
most of our infrastructure analysis is based on established sets of standards. So it's based on area and density loadings. With those, unless we knew we had a big industrial user that was coming, we size them according to the same standards. And so if you say we need commercial growth in this area, it's usually 8, 10, 12-inch sewer that ends up in the sewer trunk mains. There's a standard sizing pattern we use in order to support that. And at that, I can tell you the density and the number of residents that can do that.
So based off the trunk you just talked about, and I'm still on Tobacco Road, and I'm still talking commercial, and I'm still talking something that support economic growth as well as development. Have any thought been done on what that would cost or what would be needed?
I would need to look at the specific areas. We spent a lot of money in the Tobacco Road corridor about 20 years ago, putting in the sewer for the neighborhood. So there's sewer adjacent to a lot of the properties that are potential for commercial development. In addition, we had the CDS grant, which we're waiting on the money allocation right now, which is the Travis Boykin area on the Windsor Spring, Tobacco Road area that would extend that sewer further up and provide that capability as well, which will be able to support commercial growth and development as well. Again, if there's specific pockets or regions, I need to just sit down and look at them and say, from our perspective, we say, how far away are they? What's the linear cost per foot? What are the challenges to making that connection? And additionally, there's opportunities where it can be pumped, which is a longer operation and maintenance cost, a life cycle cost analysis, but the upfront cost is typically less. The other thing that goes into, and I should just make sure I say this, the other thing that goes into the utility asks is though we're looking at costs today, none of us have a firm grip on what the inflationary index is going to be over the next 5 years. And our costs for inflation that we've currently seen over the last 3 have almost doubled the price of projects. And so I know we're all doing the best we can. We just need to be cognizant of that when we bid these or we scope these projects going into this SPLOST issue.
Yeah, trying to determine the future value. I know that's a hard one right now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wimberly. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner Tenney Slindat.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Administrator. Okay, I'm going to ask one more time. So 325 or 350 million, we could do, if we stopped at that, hard stop at that.
It's going to take you over it's going to take you over 5 years.
Okay.
To do the 350.
Okay, so 325, would 325 get us to 4 or?
It will take you about 5, it's estimated at about 60 million a year for collections. And you escalate that a little more because in each year it increases a little bit, maybe about 3% escalator.
Okay.
So roughly around 300, 325, maybe exactly around 5 years. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to throw it out there and, let's say we cap this thing at 325, okay? And add probably the bulk of that back to the engineering and utilities. That's just my suggestion because I'm just going on what I hear the needs of the people is I don't want to mess with the public safety at all. But I think if we could add some money back to engineering and utilities, Parks and Rec, you know, and I'll say this with the director sitting here, but yeah, I think there's a need for a lot of these projects, but the biggest complaint I get about that is just the maintenance of it. It's not really any more buildings or parks. It's just what we have is not maintained. So if, you know, we can work through that in other ways, which I'm sure you're trying to deal with every day, every week. So that would be my suggestion, is that we say, okay, we're going to limit this thing to 325, and by my little calculations in here, that's about another 50 million that we can take and split between utilities and some engineering. I would like to see at least the $1 million put back for Canal Authority, or even another, because that is a huge quality of life, even though it's not doesn't really fall under that, but it is. So that's my suggestion, is we bump it up and say we're not going over 325, but try to give the bulk of that extra to engineering and utilities, because I think that's very important, that we keep our water systems going and our streets. And that's just my suggestion.
So the 325 would take you roughly 5, maybe a little over 5, but roughly 5 years, depending on the collections.
Okay. Yeah, and it's still less than the other one, the previous SPLOST.
No, the previous SPLOST was 250.
Oh, it was 250. I
Yes,
thought you
ma'am.
said 350.
I corrected that, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I was in error, it was 250.
Okay. All right, good deal. I was wondering, okay, so, yeah. That would be my suggestion, limit it to 325 and give that additional roughly 50 million between those two departments.
Yes, ma'am.
To just, because that's what I'm hearing. That's, people will pass the SPLOST if they know it's going to keep them safe and if it's going to improve their roads and sewers and stuff. So I'll get out of the queue now. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Slendak, thanks. Chair recognizes Commissioner Francine Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to ask the administrator a question, and then I just do see our illustrious juvenile court judge here, and I want to ask her a question to come up and explain, give us some information next, sir, if that's okay. Administrator Allen, I know we're trying to cut, and I do agree wholeheartedly, believe it or not, Commissioner Clark, we do need to set a number and say this is what we're going to go with, and we need to make sure we give people some or most do a priority list on where this money needs to go. But I just want to ask the question, if we do no funding under the authorities with Augusta Economic Development, Augusta Canal, and Downtown Authority, do you know what that impact would this be for like Downtown Development Authority? Would this be a cut or no funding for festivals?
No, it shouldn't be affecting the festivals. That was a separate item on the original budget. But this is just for different, I guess, things that they may want to do within the downtown area. The canal, not the Canal Authority, the actual Economic Development Authority is for that 25 million for the expansion of the sewer project. That was the one for them. That was that project.
So we won't be doing.
That's not included in this original recommendation, this last recommendation.
And this is, the 25 million is for corporate park?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So
and I think that's what Director Bond was referencing, saying just have a generic, and as opposed to saying specifically for the corporate park, just infrastructure to Commissioner Wimberly's.
But that's going to be taken care of.
That was not in here, or revised. Yes, thanks. It wasn't in the revised, no ma'am. That could be added back, but I'm just saying it was not in this revised proposal.
But he added it back.
No, we have not, no ma'am.
So how are we going to grow the corporate park if we don't have the infrastructure?
We can't.
Re-
The industrial park.
Commissioner from the 9th, you still have the floor, ma'am.
Yeah. So we don't, so would that delay progress in the corporate part?
Well, I can't truly answer that. I would imagine if they don't have the funding, it may delay it, but we were talking about the 6-7 year. So now when we reduced it to like 4 years, I'm not sure the impact that it would actually have on their respective project.
Okay. And you don't know how many projects we got pending that's coming to corporate?
I do not.
Square.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mayor Johnson, that's all I have for the authorities. But I would like juvenile court to come up if nobody else have anything else. I see Commissioner Smith-Rice and Commissioner Wembley. I don't know if they had something for infrastructure before we talk to the judge.
I would yield to the judge. Judge Bias, welcome to these chambers, ma'am.
Good morning, how are you all? Thank you all for having me. As you all can see, I did bring a handout because working in juvenile court, I work with a lot of educators. So I tend to try to consolidate information for your consideration. When we initially approached the commission and the city administrator about a juvenile justice center, our initial proposal was about $46 million. After we revisited the needs of the city, revisited the need to address this budget in a more efficient and timely manner, we were able to reduce this request to $20 million so that we can bring all of our juvenile hearings and services under one roof. As it currently stands, juvenile court is homeless in the city of Augusta. We are operating out of 4 buildings. The first one is Tubman Education Center off of Walton Way, where we serve 60 youth per day, about 240 different children per week. We also have different evidence-based providers as well as therapists working out of Tubman, which is provided to us by the Richmond County School System. Next, we have the municipal building right outside of the chambers that we sit in. We have several child attorneys and their legal assistants where they have client meetings and case preparation in this building. Then we have the Broad Street building where we are renting judges' offices, judicial assistant offices, accountability court coordinators, as well as a Chin's courtroom for our highest needs juvenile court population. As it stands right now, we pay about $226,000 per year to a private entity that recently purchased the Broad Street building that we are in. That is set to increase by $144,000 per year starting in 2027, which would bring us at about $370,000 per year for a building that is not owned by this city government. Then we have the 2 courtrooms that we are operating out of in the John Ruffin Judicial Center off of Walton Way. And if we were able to consolidate all 4 of these buildings into one by converting Craig Houghton into a juvenile justice center, it would allow us to operate as a one-stop shop for the juveniles who are impacted by the justice system of Augusta. That means that youth could come to one building to have a court hearing, see a therapist, participate in evidence-based services, as well as check in with their juvenile probation officer. And the reason that this is important is because we have seen and studies have shown that for every $1 that you invest in a juvenile justice system, not just a center, you are actually saving taxpayers between $7 and $10. We have worked hand in hand with the Richmond County Sheriff's Office because what we know is that prevention is what makes a difference to the juveniles of the city of Augusta. For example, we previously had a press conference with the Sheriff's Office so that we can address the curfew violation because we knew that there was a need to free up the sheriff's staff so that they can address the adult offenders who are violating the laws of the city of Augusta and the state of Georgia each day. With a juvenile justice center, this would allow us to increase the amount of services that we provide to our youth because what we know is that locking up juveniles is not going to decrease crime. What truly leads to recidivism in a juvenile population is evidence-based programming and rehabilitation. So if we were able to create a juvenile justice center, increase the amount of programming that we provide to these youth, we anticipate that we can see about a 50% decrease in the amount of juveniles entering the juvenile justice center every day. First and foremost, I would like to highlight the fact that the city of Augusta is actually the #2 county in the state of Georgia for child sex trafficking. As a result of this statistic, the Attorney General's office actually allocated funding for us to have our own human trafficking unit to address this CSEC population right here in the city of Augusta. Richmond County is also one of the top 10 highest amount of children in the foster care system as it stands today. As I stand before you all today, we have 467 children in foster care in the city of Augusta, Richmond County area. This is substantially higher than what it should be for the population of youth in our city. However, without the adequate court space to address these dependency cases, we are not able to reunite families efficiently and safely or to terminate parental rights so that these youth can be adopted and moved out of foster care into safe, loving homes. To paint a very realistic picture of what we are operating under right now, yesterday, as our judge sat on the bench at Broad Street, we had several children who had to come into care because they had parents with substance abuse issues. Our reality is that as these children come to Broad Street, we have parents who are losing their custody of their children for a substance abuse issue. As these children are being transported by foster care, these same parents have to go out of Broad Street, and right across from the juvenile center that they are leaving is a bar. While we are telling parents that we want you to get your substance abuse and addiction issues under control, we are bringing them into an environment that exposes them to the same issues that are leading to the introduction of their children into the juvenile center. And what we have seen from the transition of 401 Walton Way to Charles B. Webster Detention Center is that if you build more jails without addressing recidivism, you are simply going to fill the jail, which is why Charles B. Webster stays overcrowded at present day. If we do not address youthful offenders, currently, youth offenders who do not receive recidivist evidence-based treatment are likely to be rearrested within the first 3 years of them becoming adults, which means that that is yet another population for our sheriff's office to have to address at an alarming rate. Because whether or not you are a child that is in the justice system for a crime or for a dependency issue, one thing that we know is that children get older and they become adults who violate laws if we do not address their needs. By presenting a juvenile justice center outside of impacting juvenile court, it would also allow the state and superior court judges to have additional courtrooms in the current center so that they can address the backlog of misdemeanor and felony cases. Additionally, it would allow us to free up office space in the municipal building for another government agency to house their employees in that location. And lastly, it would allow us to free up Tubman so that we can return those classrooms back to the Richmond County school system, and they can convert that space to address our currently suspended or expelled children. One thing that I would like to say on behalf of juvenile court is that we are constantly accommodating. Currently, we share courtrooms with state and superior court. We share an administrator, which Nolan Martin does a wonderful job for us, with superior court. We share classrooms with the Richmond County school system. But we do not have a space of our own to truly address the needs of the juveniles in Richmond County. And if we continue on the path that we are on, we are simply creating future problems for commissioners in 2030, 2040, and 2050. And eventually, we will continue to have issues where we need to increase the jail population, increase jail space, because we will not see an improvement in recidivism rates. And with that, I am welcoming any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Judge Bias. Appreciate you being here today. Chair yields to Commissioner Don Clark from the 5th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that was a very impassioned plea by our brand new Chief Justice. I do want to make sure that you understand that this governing body and the administrator's team as well are in full support of this. Your dollars are still in the proposed reduction that was made, but I appreciate that fire that you just added to really kind of ensure that the emphasis is understood and recognized.
Thank you.
And we're fully behind you all with that effort. And again, Ms. Allen, I can't thank you all enough for just the revise of this. But man, you just pumped me up. I'm ready to go out and go kick some doors in or something.
Well, I love it.
But no, I appreciate you for sure. I don't think any of us are in disagreement with it. It's something that needs to be prioritized. It's long overdue. And we're supporting it. It's still in the proposal. If I'm not speaking out of line, Ms. Allen, is that correct?
No, sir, and you can see why she is an attorney, because she's passionate about pleading her case. She has pleaded that case on numerous occasions. And she is exactly right. The respective operating costs that we're giving to other organizations to house that operation makes sense for them to actually have one consolidated facility. And they did start out with $46 million ask, but they have been working very diligently with us to get that number down, and they have done a tremendous job in cutting it in half.
Yeah. Well, again, I appreciate you greatly. You know I do. I got a great deal of respect and admiration for you, and looking forward to seeing this court continue to grow and flourish.
Thank you.
I do have a question separate from Judge Bias, Mr. Mayor. In light of what we're talking about and what we're going through, I think we need to shift the focus. It looks like the focus needs to be it needs to be 3 areas instead of the 2. It needs to be the public safety, the infrastructure, and the parks or quality of life. But I think we got to make sure that we can adjust these numbers to get to still stay under what we're trying to do. Because if not, we're going to be right there again. So we also have, some, because we can't say maintenance for SPLOST. It has to be
Renovations or
renovation
something or capital project.
Capital improvement or something like that, correct. So if we can also look to see if there's any room for a $1 million addition for Daniel Field, and then we may need to look at some type of phase-in option for Augusta Airport as well. They have a infrastructure project that they're trying to kick off, and they're more than willing to break it down into phases. So whatever can be allotted or provided towards that effort and priority as well. So again, I'm doing what I'm trying to keep us from doing.
You're exactly right, Commissioner. You add to the list.
Yep,
I know. It back up.
I know. But their priorities are pretty minute compared to some of the other chunks that we're talking about. I think Daniel Field is looking for no more than $1 million for their capital improvement, and we're looking for $1 to $2 million at most for Augusta Airport as well. Is that correct, directors?
I think it's roughly around $2 million together.
Okay. So if we can look at adding that in there as the priority, as you and the others, Ms. Allen, kind of crank out some numbers. But I see Dr. Malik with his head down. I already know what he's doing. He's trying to sketch out some numbers, and Wes has been working on some as well. But I think the biggest thing, folks, is we got to bring this in together, and it's going to take the whole group to kind of present to the body. Because if not, we'll keep digging in, and we'll keep adding based on our prioritizations and our individual wants and needs. I agree with Commissioner Wimberly from the 4th. Wherever we can improve the infrastructure in the South Augusta area, and even, in the other portions of District 3 and 5. I mean, off of the Jimmy Diaz Bel Air area, we got septic still going on there too. So it's not just South Augusta. We have it in pockets that we do need to improve upon. But Director Bynes, we need you to kind of help us kind of focus it. The more we can focus it, the easier it is for all of us to kind of help echo the efforts and the prioritizations. So, Judge Bynes, listen, I'm just telling you right now, you did that thing. Judge Bias, I'm sorry, I'm talking to Wes back there, but yeah, you did that thing. I appreciate you greatly.
And I'm also, lastly, on behalf of Juvenile Court, I would like to thank the commission, the mayor, the sheriff's office as well for your letters of support. We are hoping that we will be awarded a grant of $330,000 per year for the next several years to provide gang prevention services to Juvenile Court. As of today, we have received over $750,000 in grants, but it is important to remember that even though our team goes out every day to apply for grants for evidence-based programs for our youth, we do not have grant eligibility to provide a location for these services. Unless the city gives us a location to put these services for the youth, we cannot implement change. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Don't leave yet. So there's 18 million allocated towards this juvenile court new building. The original request is 46 million.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is
I'm sorry, Your Honor. You have it. Yes, Mayor.
Is 18 million going to be enough? Because certainly don't want to get in a position where we have been with some of these other projects. You allocate 18 million, you still don't get it done. I think we've allocated some money to that building in the past, and I think from the outside it's a beautiful building. It's fairly new in comparison to a lot of buildings, but on the inside it needs a lot of work. So is 18 million going to be enough?
So we actually reduced our initial ask from 46 million to 20 million. And what we did was that we got with the architectural designers and we retrofitted our initial project so that we could do this in phases. And we cut out some of the additional parties that we were planning to house there, which would have included certain agencies throughout the county so that we can implement this with a $20 million budget. While I understand the proposal for 18 million, I do believe it is reasonable to increase it by 2 million. The difference between what we had back when this number first came up is that we are no longer operating with an idea or a concept. This is a project that is ready to begin. We are able to put out bids for risk management teams to review the proposal. We have architectural designs for us to retrofit the first floor of Craig Cotton and to still provide services as they continue renovations in the future. And so even though it's about more than a 50% decrease in our initial funding, $20 million would allow us to get this on the road, allow us to begin services hopefully by 2027, and it would significantly expedite the timeline that we were initially operating under with the $46 million budget. Lastly, it is also a current bus stop, and it previously was a Richmond County School System bus stop. So with the grant money that we have for transportation, we could also partner with the Richmond County School System to increase the amount of youth that are being transported to Craig Cotton, as opposed to the 60 youth per day that we are servicing at Tubman. So the long and short of it is we would like $20 million. Can we do it with 18? Possibly, but we know for certain we can do it with 20 million.
Okay, thank you so much, Judge. Not quite sure if any of these colleagues there in the queue have questions for you, but just sit tight. Commissioner.
Well, I have a comment for
okay, all right. So I'm going to ask the Commissioner from the 3rd to yield to Commissioner from the 4th for a comment. Commissioner Lonnie Wimberly.
When we built the Judicial Center, the day it was open for service, it was too small.
Exactly.
Okay? And that was brought to our attention last week when we had all the judges here. I remember when you got kicked out of one of your location and part of you moved here in this building. So I know you've been often running around trying to find a place you can call home. So make sure that what you ask is, it's not that you're cutting back to get something, and then when you get it, it doesn't fit.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
So you want to make sure that it fits. That's all. That was my only comment.
And I will say, thank you, sir. I did actually personally walk through Craig Cotton. We had staff members from the Augusta city led us into Craig Cotton so that I myself could walk through and see the existing infrastructure and provide realistic input and feedback on behalf of the juvenile court judges when we retrofitted the proposal to fit a smaller budget. And so is it likely that we would ask for additional funding in 10 years? Sure, so that we can retrofit the additional floor of Craig Cotton. But thankfully, we have all come together to make a more realistic approach to get this project up and running, and we do believe we have a sufficient outline to serve the youth for many years to come with the $20 million budget.
And I'm going to say to the mayor, alibi.
Alibi?
He don't know what that is.
He doesn't know that.
You got to explain that. Whoa, now, you're not going to be using terms up here on this dais without explaining what they mean. What does an alibi mean?
I mean, I have something else to say.
Okay, all right, go right ahead. All right.
You said out loud something that I was trying to get the sheriff department to say, in that jails does not reduce crime. Also, we've been discussing NGOs, and you don't have to name any, but are there any NGOs that are assisting you with trying to keep these youths out of trouble?
Absolutely. Juvenile Court has a number of non-government organization partners, to include Thrive, which is actually an extension of Juvenile Court. That is our enrichment program run by Dr. Amistad, who goes out and secures many of these grant funds. Many of you have seen me out in the community. I go out and meet with nonprofit organizations oftentimes so that we can make sure that we are servicing the needs of the youth. And we try to work with the community partners who are willing to do so on a free voluntary basis so that we can keep the money that we have in our budget to provide the evidence-based programs that we could not typically do for free. To Chief Blanchard's point, what I think is important for the community to know is that the building of a new jail alone does not reduce crime. But when you build a new jail and you also increase the recidivist-based programming for juvenile court, it will lead to a decrease in crime for not just youthful offenders, but adults as well. Because if we increase the amount of court space that is available at the Judicial Center for state and superior court, they can more timely address the current population that we have at Charles B. Webster. Right now, we have more judges than we do courtrooms. And that is a significant problem because the sheriff's office can only release people that are given a bond by a judge who is able to preside in a courtroom that is available. We have 4 juvenile court judges, and we certainly cannot operate all at the same time if we only have 2 courtrooms at the Judicial Center and 1 at Broad Street. And that also places a burden on the sheriff's office because they are providing security for juvenile court at multiple locations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Wimberly. Judge Bias, as I understand, you have a big day next week. If you don't mind, for this governing body, can you remind everybody what's happening next week, please?
Yes, sir, I will. Next week, I have the pleasure of being sworn in as the Chief Judge of Juvenile Court. That will be on December 18th at 11 a.m. downstairs in the Beasley Room in lieu of a formal ceremony because I had a very unexpectedly large swearing in, which many of you were present for. Thank you so much. I will take my oath at the Christmas party where we will give out free gifts that have been donated by those non-government agencies who have partnered with us to ensure that we can meet the needs of the Christmas list of all of our youth who are currently in foster care. So it will be about 75 children. It will be the first time that our juvenile court constituents have been able to participate in the swearing in, and we are looking forward to it.
So it's going to be a Christmas party in the Beasley Room, too?
Yes. It's a very big thing. We give out many gifts to our youth.
That's
we
awesome.
have to take them back and drop them off at their homes later, but that's the story for another day.
All right, all right. Commissioner Rice, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I am going to say this, and I know some of you don't want to hear it, but I do believe that Chief Blanchard has a point. The jails, I know y'all going to, but in this case, jails do somewhat reduce crime because if we, okay, well, Commissioner from the 4th, we might have difference of opinions, that's okay. But no, anyway, because otherwise we're leaving them on the streets because we don't have enough beds to occupy putting them in. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that and I'm gonna move on to what I really wanted to say. So if y'all need to come back to me about, I'm going back to the parks and a few other things that I have that I want to answer, that I want to get answers for. So if I need to jump out of the queue, we can do that. I don't have any more questions.
Thank you so much.
But congratulations to you.
Thank you. Yes. And I will also say that having a place for the sheriff's office to house adult offenders allows juveniles to not be recruited for gangs and other illegal activity by adult offenders. So that is very important to the juvenile court judges as well.
Thank you again, Judge Bice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Commissioner Rice, you still have the floor, ma'am.
Okay. Well, and Parks and Recs, probably they're not going to want to hear this, but, you know, looking at the quality of life, which is very important, but with Parks and Recs, you know, we've been talking about this, and we're going to have something probably at our meeting Tuesday, if we get to it, if we can get this budget passed, or the first of the year. I'm going to want to have Parks and Recs come up and discuss about selling some of these parks. If we sold some of the parks that we have now that are not being utilized, sell them, put money back into the department, you know, we need to be focusing on that, but we also need to, as Don Clark said, we need to be looking at the infrastructure part, and in a lot of folks in District 3 who have been moved to District 5 still reach out to me about the septic tank. They want to be on sewer this has been going on since before I got on the commission. So I would like to see that we put the money in infrastructure, and under infrastructure too, we got the Augusta Regional Airport and Daniel Field Airport. Saying this quickly, definitely need to put money into both of them. They are very important to this community. I also want to ask a question about, under Parks and Recs, capital equipment improvements. Is this the lawnmowers, or what all is involved with capital equipment improvements? If you don't mind. I'm just curious as to, do we not have working lawnmowers now, or what's going on there?
So the capital is not under here, it'll be under our, operations for capitals with the lawnmowers and stuff. That's not under this.
Yeah, I just see over 2 million. I'm just trying to figure out what all is involved with the improvement, the capital equipment.
Yeah, so under this one for capital improvements, we're talking about replacing outdated equipment and enhancing any safety measures that we have and improving accessibilities at some of our parks.
Okay. All right, another one, over 7 million, aquatic facility improvements. Are the aquatic centers, how are they being run right now? Are they being utilized? Are they all open? How many do we have total? We got the aquatic, and what other pools?
So the indoor aquatic facilities that we have is over at Brigham Aquatic Center, and then we have the Augusta Aquatic Center. And then in the summertime, then we have our outdoor pools over at Bernie Ward, and then also the pool that we don't have open right is Jones Pool.
Yeah, that hadn't been open in years, has it?
Well, that hasn't been open in a few years, that from my understanding. And really, for that location, I went back and did a little research. That location was closed. The shell is good, the pool area is good, it's just the infrastructure of that building is not in good condition to be open.
All right. Well, as I said, we definitely need to scale back in some areas, as we know. And from what I'm seeing, 250 million for SPLOST 8, we need to at least be staying under 300 million this SPLOST, correct? Administrator?
Okay, so I think Commissioner Slindeck recommended 325, which would take us about 5 years, maybe 5.3, depending on collections, because you can't really, 5.3, 5.4 years to collect.
Okay.
So if that is the consensus of the body to do the 325, it would get you to the 5 years.
Well, seeing that 250 was for SPLOST 8, over 5 years ago?
Took about 4 years, a little over 4 years.
And with the cost of everything and inflation, 325, somewhere between 325 and 315 range would be good, correct?
About a 325 will take you to that 5 years. If your focus is to do 5 years, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm good with that, thank you. I have no more questions.
If I could speak, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
So again, it seems like 2025 has been a tough decision year for all of us. And recommendations and things of that nature. As you can tell, Augusta has a lot of needs, no doubt. Infrastructure, the quality of life. We have a lot of things that probably have been neglected over the years that need to be addressed. We have our partners, like our airport, and they need things. So it's been very difficult to cut this list. The goal was to actually provide you with something that we felt would be more palatable to our constituents based on the input that we have from them, based on the things that we've been hearing from you, and based on some of the things that just really make sense to get something tangible done during that process. There's been a number of concerns about how long it takes us to get projects done. I don't want Dr. Malik to think at any time I don't understand the phase-in project, because I do understand that. But at some point, they want to see, things get done within that 10 years. They want to see something that they can say that was completed during that SPLOST. So that's kind of what we were looking at. The priorities have given everybody time to look at the respective priorities that they have and determine what's going to be the best next step. If the governing body does choose to go to 325 mil, million rate to do the 5 years, which is not uncommon because we've done 5 years before. I think based on what I'm hearing today, if we look at the 275 and we don't change anything, we can add back the 2 million to juvenile court. I think that was a consensus by the body. Even though we think they could do it for 18 million, but just to give that extra room for any respective changes, as Judge Bias was talking about. The Canal Authority, that 1 million can go back. The Daniel Field can get the respective money they need for the roofing. The airport could get the money that they need. Well, he's gone. Give utilities the 20 million to look at what is the priority, to Commissioner Clark's point, look at the priority, get that done, look at our sewer projects that I think Commissioner Wimberly was referring to. And just to state something too, in regards to the corporate part, Commissioner Wimberly, they still do have $7 million allocated to that. So we're not taking anything away from it. And I, apologize if I misspoke, but it's not to take away from it. The 25 extra million they were asking for was a whole new setup. So I apologize for that. And to give engineering an additional 25 million with that 10 million to prioritize what they can make happen. Dr. Malik probably said he can't do that, but that is the only, I'm sure he is. But if we let everybody come up and defend and ask for what we will be right back where Commissioner Clark is saying we will be, and that would be at the over $1 billion request. Everybody has great justification, but I think it's time to say, this is where we're stopping, this is what we're going to do, and the departments and directors have to work within that and make things happen and get the priorities done as the governing body has directed them to. So I think with that, we could do the 325, because every time you increase it, keep in mind the percentage to Hetzler and Blythe increases as well.
Okay. And since we are on a time crunch on getting this SPLOST package completed by we got to vote on it first meeting in January. Folks, we need to wrap it up. We've had several meetings on SPLOST, and we are now, I feel like we're in a comfortable position of getting there with the 325 and the 5 years. So hopefully we can go ahead and get this done. We've got budget to discuss too, and we hadn't even approved that. No, not today, maybe not on, hopefully on Tuesday we will. But when can we get this? I mean, I'm ready. We're getting close, y'all.
So we can't vote, I don't think,
today. No, we're not voting today.
Okay,
no.
but I will update this list and send this out to you, because I know I just went over those numbers pretty quickly, but get that number to you. And I think that encompasses everything that I've heard discussed as priorities from the governing body today.
Thank you. Thank you, too, Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Commissioner Catherine Smith Rice. Commissioner Wimberly from the fourth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Airport just left. But I was listening to the news the other morning, and Daniel Field has just received a huge grant. So
They're out there.
Oh, they done? Oh, okay. I don't want to talk about y'all behind your back, so stand up. But anyway, Daniel Field just received a grant. So what was that grant for, and what would it be used for?
Hey, I am Becky Shealy, and I am the airport director for Daniel Field. Anthony is going to be my replacement in about 3 years, we hope. So he's a huge advocate here. So both of us are standing before you today. So we had a TIA grant, and that was for airport improvements. So that was for any of the infrastructure where the airplanes actually are going to utilize. So we're using that for, we just replaced lights with LED lights. We just did a pavement renovation. Right now, we've got some obstructions that are, and there's some trees that are obstructions into the airport as far as the glide path. So we are right now using, we've got a federal grant, but we're using the TIA money as a local match to determine which trees need to be removed to keep the airport safe. So if it's the same grant I think you're talking about, it's TIA, and that is for airport safety. And So that's the local match for the grant money that we get from the federal government, the FAA, on a yearly basis.
It's a grant that I believe it was Channel 6 spoke about the other morning on the morning news about Daniel Field had received, and it was a pretty good size, substantial amount of money in a grant. Now, you saying all this for runways?
It's actually for airport safety. The TIA grant was for airport safety. We have another grant through TIA, which is in the next band, and that is for hangar construction. But we have to use it specifically as the voters voted on it. So this would be for airport safety, and it is for the airport as the airport itself, not buildings.
Okay. So none of this money helps you with your roof, as you telling me?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
All right. Thank you. Now to my 2 cents on the budget.
Come on with it, sir.
350 should be our cap to go no higher than 350.
All right, Madam Administrator, we got 2 options that we're going to present to this governing body. We have one for 325 and one for 350.
I said it should not go no higher than.
No higher than 350. So you don't want to make 350. Right now we have a 325 cap.
And that's not including the percentages that have to go to Hetzler and Blythe. So it takes it over really 325. Yes, sir.
So once you get 325, you're saying with the percentage you have to go to Hesper, it's going to put it up there. So it's going to take above the 3.
Yes, sir.
And I'm saying do not exceed 350. 350.
Okay. So you want to move from 325 to 350?
No, I think he's saying what I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying exactly.
Yes.
You got it. You got it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll work on y'all.
Work on me.
All right, but anyway, that's what I'm saying. We should not exceed.
Yes, sir.
350.
Yes, sir.
That's including any
That's
adjustment you have to make for Blythe and that.
Yes, sir.
But I definitely want us to go back and pay attention to where we're going to put that money at. For example, we just took $5 million off a water park. We have $5 million already collected.
We have $5 million allocated from SPLOST 8, sir. Yes, sir.
For the water park.
Yes, sir.
We have $5 million on this, and we just took that $5 million off.
No, sir. They never approved an additional $5 million. The governing body.
It was an ask.
Yes, sir.
It was an ask, and it wasn't approved. Okay? So it was an ask, and it wasn't approved, but we just put a brand new community center on there, and we're trying to close some. So, for example, that's something I think that you could just move off and save you some money, okay? But that's my recommendation, not to go with 350. Commissioner from the 5th, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lonnie Wimberly. The last colleague I see in the queue, and I'm going to remind my colleagues the time is now 12:04. We're 4 minutes over. Commissioner Tina Slindak from 7. Madam, you have the floor.
4 minutes over, okay. It'll be quick. It'll be quick. Again, I do think we had some progress made today.
Me too.
I see some heads nodding out in the audience.
Because of the time, I won't mention the water part, okay? You know my feelings on that. However, I did just want a quick question for Parks and Rec, one more, and then I'll be done, and we can all go to lunch or whatever everybody is going to do. I don't know. But I was just wondering on this list here, is there? I didn't see Newman Tennis Center. Is there a reason there's nothing in spots for Newman?
Newman is already a project that we're working on.
Oh, okay.
So the resurfacing, is that the resurfacing project that we previously allocated SPLOST funds for Newman?
But there was nothing put in for it's terribly dated, the whole place. I was just wondering, so y'all are just resurfacing courts and?
Yes, more than that.
Okay, but nothing, so it's currently being worked on then, Newman is, there's, that, That's what I just want to know, because, I mean, we've got, Fleming tennis courts and all this kind of stuff. And so apparently the next SPLOST cycle there, you don't foresee anything being needed in SPLOST for Newman then?
No, because we're currently working on, in the previous SPLOST, we've had Newman Tennis Center listed, and that's one of our projects that we're
So,
working on.
okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Slindeck. I've just been made aware that our sheriff is in the chambers, and he and Chief Blanchard would like to add something additional. Sheriff, Chief Blanchard? The question is, have you come to arrest somebody?
No, sir. We're not here for that. We just wanted to clarify a couple of things in regards to the detention center. As everybody knows, we are 300 overstaffed. Every single person in that detention center is ordered to be there by the courts. Most people who are arrested on minor charges are released, instantly. At this time, we are 300 over. At any given day, we could be ordered to move 300 people out of our jail like the previous administration did, or the sheriff, because of the safety factor, could do so. We've met with Finance and Tamika, our administrator. That would cost this commission between $8 to $10 million per year to house 300 people in other facilities. We've got to get our numbers down. We are extremely behind in where we need to be in that detention center. But I do want you to understand that, it's not like we just think that people want to be locked up and kept in jail, all the time. But it certainly does reduce crime and recidivism. But at the end of the day, it's the sheriff's requirement to keep those prisoners and inmates safe. And if we lowered our numbers and moved them out to other facilities, we're looking at a general fund budget item of another $8 to $10 million per year. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief Blanchard. Last commissioner in the queue, Commissioner Francine Scott from the 9th. Ma'am, close us out.
Thank you. Chief, do we have inmates now housed in other facilities?
Only a couple. So, for example, we've had a few police officers that we've arrested for doing things wrong. It's not best to have them in our facility, so we work out to put them in, 1 or 2 people. We work out with Columbia County. They don't charge us. When they have 1 or 2, they need to. We don't charge them except for medical. But we stopped housing in other facilities. The other previous administration was spending to house about 80 inmates out. They were spending a little over $1 million a year. We met with the administration and we decided that it was the best, the sheriff decided it was the best to bring them all back into house as best we could and use that savings to help fix up the jail and help having to ask for more money from the general fund. But we have reached a breaking point. We are to an area where we need to start housing outside of our facility.
I'll close it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner from the 9th. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. This concludes this SPLOST special call meeting. It is hereby adjourned.
Thank you.
Ms. Shealy, can you meet me right here for a second?